Recently, this argument has been going around my socials. If man created the Bible, why does it go against human desires?
People be like, Christianity is man-made. Okay, well then why does everything about it go against man's desires?
In other words, many believe that since the Bible contradicts our human nature, that it must have been divine. Why else would it exist? I think this is a fun question, and honestly a pretty interesting one, but not a good argument, and here's why. First of all, this question has a foundational, I believe, unwarranted assumption that the Bible contradicts human nature, or that it goes against human desires. When people pose this question, I assume that they're focusing mainly on worldly desires, what they'd call it, like sex or money or power, that the Bible preaches against those things, and that those are things that we innately want. But only mentioning this is just one half of the story. We also have to mention the benefits, the positives that come along with religion. So transcendent transference is a huge one. I believe the idea was first thought of by Soren Kierkegaard, and it's this idea that we are able to put all these worries, doubts, fears onto God, this divine being that's outside of space and time and infinitely powerful. This is essentially the psychological function of prayer, being able to say what's on your mind and kind of externalize it. This is extremely beneficial, as you can imagine, for human health. It's something that has kind of a therapeutic or a cathartic effect on us. But let's go into some of the other benefits of religion. How about no death, right? And this is obviously to Christianity in particular and many other religions as well. But Christianity is teaching people that they are eternal beings, that they will never die, that they can't die. Just to even think that that's not beneficial is ridiculous. The most fundamental human fear that exists is death. And when something comes along that claims that it can essentially cure death, absolutely humans desire that. Not only does it promise everlasting life, but eternal bliss and happiness in that everlasting life. And so, again, as humans, obviously we desire a comfortable life that is fun, that is filled with happiness, the people we love. That's something that religion promises, Christianity specifically. So yes, that is a human desire that is met, or at least promised, by the Christian religion. Okay, the next one is all prayers will be answered. This is a huge benefit. I mean, if you could say and ask for anything in life, and there's a promise in this book that if you believe in this God, that prayer will be answered. And it says that's absolutely a benefit. That's absolutely something humans desire that, again, comes with the Christian faith. Here's kind of a more primal one. All enemies are destroyed. Especially when we look at the founding of the Christian faith, when we look at Israel. Enemies were just a huge focus for their culture and their society as a whole. And just imagine that one day these enemies would be destroyed and kind of off their back was, again, desirable. Another thing we can point out straight from the Christian faith is that everything is possible through Christ. To imagine that anything that you can do anything that you want, and you can be successful. Lastly, it is a goal of the Christian faith to create communities, to create churches. And as humans, we love communities. We're built for relationships. And so there's, again, another desire from humans met by the Christian religion. So I want to ask the people that have kind of been throwing this around, are these not fundamental human desires that are met by religion? Do these not coincide with the Christian faith? They absolutely do. The possibility of everlasting life, the ability to have every single question answered, every single thing that you want provided for you. You can't say that Christianity doesn't coincide with man's desires. And especially when we look at humanity as a whole, every single religion, every single culture, that has ever existed had some element of religion or mythology. It is clear that this is a part of human nature that is beneficial. Because if it wasn't beneficial, evolution would have weeded it out. This kind of victimhood mentality, I think, is really interesting in Christianity. Not only do they profess to be, connected to a being that is infinitely powerful, but they also take this position of, everything is so difficult. That Christianity is so counter-culture. It's so counter-human nature. When it, in my opinion, in my view, based on what I've studied and read, it exactly coincides with human nature. This reminds me of what I can only assume is a Billy Graham quote. I don't actually know who said it, but I think I recognize his voice. I'll play the audio right now, and then we'll talk about the quote after.
Easier not to be a Christian in this world. because the devil may leave you alone. The moment you receive Christ as Savior, you're in for it. Unless you live on your knees and live in the Scriptures and keep your guard up and have your spiritual armor on at all times. Because if you let down even one day as a Christian, you're in trouble. The moment you receive Christ, you see all the world is going this way. You turn around and start against the tide.
I want to really emphasize what he says at the end, that Christians are going against the tide and they're kind of like being attacked. My question is, what is that tide they're going against? For real. The Christian church is one of, if not the most powerful institution in the world. They influence policy like crazy. They influence education. They influence the public at large. Still, a large majority of the people in the United States are Christian. And when we look at the government, it's almost exclusively religious people. So this is, I guess, a question to all those Christians out there. What is it that you're going against? The entire country that you live in, especially, I guess I should say, this pertains to Christians in America. What is it that you're going against? For real. What is the counterculture movement that is Christianity? The whole world around you is Christian. Every church, every other building is a church. For real, what is your perception of these things that you're moving against? In reality, the only truly difficult thing about being a Christian is justifying your belief.